What's up, you guys? Welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for clicking on today's video. If you are new here, my name is Nia and I'm a single working mom. And today I figured we would do something a little bit different, have a Q&A and really talk about what life is like balancing motherhood, work, and everything in between. Some of these questions are going to be things that I get asked in the comment section of my videos, or things that I wish somebody would have shared with me when I became a mother, especially becoming a single working mom. So sit down, relax. I'm going to be doing my makeup and let's just chit chat and have a real and honest conversation. So like I mentioned, I'm just doing my makeup. I'm honestly about to go out and dilly dally. So starting off, I am going to go in with this Bubble Lip Serum. It's in the flavor watermelon. It's something that Riley and I are both sharing, so it is kid friendly. Today's video is really not going to be so much about the products, but I will have everything linked down below that I am using. It's just more about just having conversation, sharing with you guys what I have learned since becoming a single mom. The first category that we are going to do a little bit of a deep dive into is going to be a work-life balance and career. First question is, how do you manage your work schedule with parenting duties? And I know this can be very challenging because both are full-time jobs, right? You have your full-time job and then you have your job of being a parent, and that is just a 24-hour a day, 7 days a week type of job. Thankfully for me, I do work 100% remote, so it does allow a lot more flexibility than if I were to be going into an office. And personally for me, the way that I balance both is in the summertime, she is in camp, so it allows me to fully focus on work and not have to feel guilty about, you know, not giving her the attention and everything that it is that she needs throughout the day. I know that she is in a safe environment and I don't have to worry about that too much. Clearly during the school year, she's at school and it's the same type of situation. However, there are going to be times when she is at home with me, and that can be challenging. What I try to do is I try to look at both kind of like schedules, I guess, if you want to call it. So is she going to be home with me? Is she getting out of school a little bit early? I try and manage both schedules at the same time so that they flow a little bit better. So I have no problem blocking off my calendar at work because I just want to give her my undivided attention. I am also very blessed to have a job and a manager who understands that I am a single mom, but also the fact that family comes first. So if there are times when I need to be logged off for an extended amount of time, I'm able to do that. And then I will just like log on later on in the day when I have a little bit more time. But at the end of the day, I just try to keep in mind, as much as this job is paying the bills and keeping a roof over our heads, the last thing I want is for my child to think that I'm always placing work ahead of her. So when she comes back from camp or when she comes back from school, I take that time to disconnect a little bit, so that I'm, you know, hearing about her day and making sure to reconnect with her. And so that's kind of the best way for me to balance it all, is to understand that work is sometimes going to have to come on the back burner, and then sometimes, sadly, being a parent is going to have to come as a back burner. If there are ever times when I just feel like managing both at the same time, like if she's going to be home from school or home from camp or anything like that, I will just take the day off because I don't want to put too much on my plate. And I would say that really learning your boundaries and what you can actually manage that particular day, and of course it's going to fluctuate depending on what season you're in, I'll just take the day because I want to be able to fully be present with her. I also understand that, you know, you only have so much time for your kids to actually be kids, and it's important to me. So you kind of really just have to figure out what is the priority in that specific situation. And like I mentioned, every situation and every day is going to be different. You're just going to have to do what works for you. And this is something that I have had to learn over time, really. What's your daily routine like as a single working mom? I feel as if that's a little bit of a loaded question because your morning routine is going to be different from your midday routine, and it's going to be different from your evening routine. For me, depending on if it's summer and if it is during the school year, again, the routine is going to change slightly. Summer's a little bit more relaxed than during the school year. However, one of the non-negotiables that I have realized that I personally need is going to be waking up before my daughter wakes up. It is very challenging. And I would say that this is not even just specifically for single moms. I think parents in general, when depending on how old your child is, they need you. And it's almost like as soon as they wake up, the requests come immediately. And if I realize about myself, if I do not get up before her, it almost overwhelms me, because immediately I'm getting up from, sleeping overnight to instantly tending to somebody else, which then causes me to not have the time or the mental capacity to attend to my own needs. So whether that is 30 minutes, an hour, again, this does fluctuate. I take the time to wake up before her. And even if she does wake up during what we have designated as quiet time, she understands, like, there are no requests right now. There is no talking. There's no color. Do anything that you would like to do until a certain time period in the morning. And then you can come and put in your request. Like, oh, I want breakfast. Oh, I want this. Oh, this, da 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 da. I need that time. And I just realized that I need to fill up my cup first before I can attend to anybody. And that is just a lesson that I have learned throughout the day. Now, as far as during the day when she is at camp or school, that routine does change slightly, and that is also just going to be determined by my work schedule. What I do try my hardest to do is to leave the house at some point during the day, whether I am going to the gym or I'm going for a walk or I'm going to run errands. I need to leave the house for my mental health because otherwise you find yourself just sitting in the house all day constantly. You're not getting fresh air, you're not getting sunlight, you're not getting any of those things. And when you work from home, it's very easy for everything to blend and mesh together, where this is your house, your relaxation place, but your workplace at the same time. So taking the time to physically leave is what works best for me. Again, this does not always happen, but for the most part, that's what I'm doing. And lately, since I have been just trying to move my body more, I am most likely going to the gym. It's less crowded during the day, so I can kind of just get in and out, or I'm going for a walk around my neighborhood, again, just to clear my head, listen to some music, listen to a podcast, just disconnect for a hot second. So that's typically what my day-to-day routine looks like, is working and then just getting outside, moving my body, doing the things. And then in the evening, I will, pick her up from camp or school, and then she's outside playing depending on the weather, and then we typically will, you know, eat dinner. Sometimes we have 2 dinners a night just because she eats right when she gets home from school, and then she'll have like the leftovers, right? Shower, we read every single night, and then bedtime. So that's typically what our routine is. I will then also get into the bed right after putting her down. And lately I have just been enjoying either watching a show, I'm rewatching Scandal, or I will read a book just to kind of help my mind relax and unwind, but try and get off the phone, stop the scrolling, all of that nonsense, because that just kind of keeps you up at night. But I do try to go to bed around anywhere between 9:30 to 10:30. Do I ever deal with mom guilt, and how do I manage that? I don't know who doesn't deal with mom guilt. Like, whoever does it, please share your tips and secrets. But I feel as if, like, no matter how hard motherhood can be, if you care enough and almost, not saying beat yourself up, but I feel as if you care enough to wonder, am I doing a good job, asking yourself those questions, you're doing a lot better than most. And that's just my personal opinion. No shade to anybody. It's just, you know, if you care, you tend to reflect more. And I feel like that's where mom guilt typically comes in. So absolutely, I deal with mom guilt. I deal with mom guilt, the fact that I'm a single mom. I deal with mom guilt with that. I deal with mom guilt in regards to maybe sometimes not balancing work and motherhood as best as I felt I should have that particular day. I deal with mom guilt in regards to, am I giving my child the best childhood that she deserves, while still protecting her from this crazy world? And I would say that the best way that I deal with it is not trying to run from it and just acknowledging it. If I feel as if I lost my cool more, like, when I shouldn't have, right? I feel as if a lot of times that's what us moms kind of deal with. Oh, I should not have handled that. I should not have responded that way. Oh my God, I was overstimulated. Oh my God, you know, the list goes on. I have no problem apologizing to my child. I really don't. At the end of the day, this is all of our first time living, right? Your child is experiencing what being a child is like for the first time. You're experiencing being a mother for the first time. And there are going to be challenges, and there are going to be things that we do wrong. And I don't think apologizing to your child is beneath you. I think that it shows strength, and it also lets your child know, like, look, I'm human too. And I will be the first one to tell Riley that, like, look, like, mommy got this wrong. I'm so sorry. You know, I'm not perfect. I'm doing the best that I can, you know, and that's really how I manage it. But I also try to give myself as much grace as possible. Like, I will have to talk myself off of the ledge, meaning if I'm being too hard on myself, I have to say, like, look, like, you're doing the best that you can, right? These are the these are the situations and circumstances you are in, and with what you have been dealt, you are doing the best that you can. And not to beat myself up about it. Again, it's always easier said than done, but there are times when I have to snap myself out of it and just be like, look, girl, you have to give yourself some grace here, because it is challenging. And as much as maybe you didn't handle a situation the way that you wanted to handle the situation, there's also context and nuances to the situation though too, right? Something that your child may not fully understand until they get older. And now, like, you start to realize, like, oh wow, like, I do see why my mom or why my parents did certain things, or why they reacted certain ways, because they were also dealing with X, Y, and Z, right? But again, that just kind of takes time. So when I am dealing with mom guilt, one, you know, of course I express this and share this with, you know, family or friends, but I also have no problem telling myself that I need to give myself more grace. And that is just something that I really took the time to work on, and I feel as if I have gotten better at managing it. So if you are experiencing that, which we all do, it's a natural feeling. It's a very, very natural feeling. I feel like, especially if you are a single mom, you start to second guess yourself as, did I make right decisions? Is this in the betterment of the child? And all of that stuff. You're doing an awesome job. You're doing what you see fit for yourself and for your child, and that's really all that you can do. It really doesn't matter if you are a single mom or if you are a parent who is still, you know, very much together with the other parent. You're still going to run into these situations, and you know, every day is different, and you are going to have challenges. Do what you can, know when to take a break, give yourself a breather so you can reset and kind of go forward. And if there's a situation where you feel as if you need to apologize, apologize. Kids accept apologies so quickly, and I love that about them. They are just so good with, let's accept this apology and move on, right? I love that. What's the hardest part of solo parenting for you? I'm going to be as honest as I possibly can. One of the hardest things for me, and I would say something that I still struggle with, not as much anymore, but still something that I do struggle with. The hardest part for me for solo parenting is no longer having a teammate. Like, and I don't even mean this as if her father is not in the picture, because he very much is. But what I'm saying is, under the same roof, no longer having that team, right? I am a huge believer and swear by teams. You know, whether that's with work, maybe this stems back from my childhood. I played sports my entire childhood, all year round, up until high school. And I understand that one person's weakness is another person's strength, and knowing that and having that dynamic, I think, is a great one, especially if when it comes to raising kids, right? Having that soundboard, you know, dealing with something in the moment, and you got both parents around, and let's say your child is having a huge meltdown or big feelings, and it's like, I don't know what to do. I don't know how to manage this. Like, having that soundboard with having somebody else experiencing it at the same time with you right there, I think speaks volumes. So not having that is something that I would say was my biggest challenge, and is my biggest challenge. You go into partnership, whether that's marriage, relationships, whatever, for that. And when you don't have it, it is challenging, and something that I have gotten past for the most part, working through, but by far was the biggest thing. And then I would also say the other challenge of solo parenting would be mourning the relationship while still needing to be a parent. And that can be very challenging, because you want to protect your child and they don't need to deal with adult issues or challenges, but you still very much need to put on that happy face when you don't want to put on that happy face. Yeah, I'm gonna be completely honest. This is definitely something that I struggled with more when I first you know, got a divorce and we moved in here, and you know, we had separate homes and all the other stuff. That was another big challenge for me, because I'm mourning the life that I thought I was going to have, and when that didn't pan out, it was very hard. So not only am I mourning my marriage, right, I'm also mourning the fact that I no longer have my best friend there, but then still needing to show up as a mom. Very much so. And I can't just sit here and be mopey and cry, because I very much have an emotional child who shows and wears her heart on her sleeve, and I love that for her. But I know that if I crumble and crack, it's a wrap. So having to almost like fake the funk and having to pretend like things are good, whether that's during the day, when I am just absolutely heartbroken, was one of the most challenging parts of it all. Yeah, if I'm going to be 100% honest. And I'm pretty sure that this is a challenge that so many single moms go through, and regardless if whatever your situation is, right, even if you're the one who initiated the breakup, or the other person was the one who initiated the breakup, or maybe there was tension in the household, whatever it was, you're still mourning the relationship, right? But still very much need to show up as a mom, especially when your kids are a lot younger and they can't take care of themselves. Like, of course, when they get a little bit older, you know, they're more independent, but I'm talking about when they're not independent. And you need to show up, and you need to play, and you need to do all these things, and you need to put on a happy face when you are crying and crushed and broken inside. Talk about being a challenge that you have to overcome. So those are two things that I really found challenging. How do you handle discipline and tough conversations alone? So her father is very much in her life, and we do have conversations about, you know, certain things that come up, whether it's school and all this other stuff. But funny enough, this is actually a conversation that was just brought up yesterday. We had a very challenging conversation, but one of the things that I at least pride myself on in regards to just being a mom is I never talk to my child like a baby. She was literally like a baby, and I never talked to her like, oh, cookie. Never. Never. And people, like my family, used to like laugh at me like, girl, you were talking to her like she is like a full, like, not adult, like it's not like I'm cursing or anything like that, but like I just talked to her like she was a regular, I guess, adult or whatever. So I've always been very honest with her, while also still being mindful of her age and what's appropriate to share and what's not. We have that conversation, and I'm trying to build the foundation of open dialogue, open conversation, reminding her that she has a support system with me and her father, and that she can come to us no matter what it is, regardless if we agree with it or not, that we are going to love her unconditionally, and that we are always going to have her back, and we are always going to keep her secrets, right? So the situation that we were kind of just talking about is like, now she's 8, right? So these little girls, they yip yapping and talking nonstop, you know? But also at the same time, I'm trying to explain to her just the dynamic of telephone, right? Whereas if somebody can come up to you, say something, share it with you about somebody else, and then if you go run to tell another friend, and then that friend goes to tell another friend, and then that friend tells the girl that you guys were originally talking about, who's to say that that telephone does not come back and was like, oh, Riley said this, when you didn't say that. You were just repeating something somebody else said. You have to be careful about things like that, right? So not everything, and we were getting ready for bed last night, but I'm just like, not everything needs to be repeated. Not everything needs to be shared. So just be mindful of what you're sharing, because also at the end of the day, as you move through life, you could be a friend today and not a friend tomorrow. So just be mindful of what you're sharing. And also at the same time, I, let her know, like, look, like the two people that you can always come to share whatever, and you will know for a fact that your secrets will never be shared, is myself and your father. We're loyal to you. So whatever you share with us is never going to be repeated. Like, you get what I'm saying? Like, as girls, like, we get emotional, right? Like, as females, we get emotional, and we want to, like, maybe we're arguing with our friend or whatever it is, and then you just be like, oh, I never want to be her friend again, da 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 da. But you're just caught up in your feelings, right? That's something I'm telling her, that's something you could share with me and your father, right? Because we know that it's just you living in the moment, in your feelings, right? And give it 5-10 minutes and you're like back to being friends again, right? But if you share that information with another friend who's also 8, and just, again, kids be yapping their mouth, that then gets played, and it never plays out in the way that you want it to play out, right? So navigating hard conversations, I lead with honesty. I am a big believer of honesty. I don't like lies. Honesty, but also still being mindful of the age in which how honest we're going to be. And then typically what I will then do is I will tell her dad about the conversation, just to make sure that we're all on the same page, and then he will usually follow up with another conversation just to reiterate that, and just to reinforce, like, look, like, we are on your team, like, we are team Riley, right? So whatever you need to share, come to us. We're not going to judge you, we're not going to stop loving you, and this is a safe space, right? And vice versa. He'll have hard conversations with her, he'll share that with me, and I reinforce it on the back end, so we're on the same page in regards to that. So that's kind of how we navigate those type of conversations, because as she's growing up and maturing, there's going to be more conversations, but leading with honesty, but also still being mindful of the age in which how honest we are going to be. This leads to the next question. Do you co-parent? And if so, how do you make it work? So, yes, we do co-parent. I am very thankful and blessed that we have a respectful relationship. We just came up with a routine and schedule that works for us. And I would just say that, of course, when it comes to co-parenting, to whatever capacity that is, everybody's routine and schedule is going to be different. Just like everybody's friendships are going to be different. Everybody's marriages are going to be different. And there's no blueprint around it. We had to figure out what was going to work for us. And that's it. Like, that's honestly it. We had to figure out what was going to work for us, what was going to work for our child, and we kind of go from there. What we originally had worked out changed, but just through communication and just saying, like, hey, you know what, this doesn't really work for me, can we try this, or can we do this? Like, we're very open to stuff like that. So figuring one thing out, seeing how that goes. If that doesn't work, we need to tweak it a little bit, we need to change it a little bit, and we do that. So that's kind of how our co-parenting works. It's very, I guess, like flexible, meaning if I'm traveling for work, or he has to stay late for work, or whatever it is, We do our best to communicate and give the other person enough ample notice so we can make those adjustments. So like if I'm traveling, hey, you know what, I know you don't typically pick her up from school or camp this day, but I'm gonna be away, could you do that and switch? Or, you know, communication is key, but again, just making sure that you guys find a happy medium in the middle. And I know that I am so blessed for this, because there are so many people out there. It doesn't matter how much you try to communicate, or if the parent lives in a different state, I know that that can also be challenging as well. Thankfully, that is not my situation, but that is how we co-parent. We make sure that we are communicating, and then also just figuring out a routine and schedule that works for all of us, me, him, and Riley. Moving on to finance and independence. How do you budget as a single income household? One of the things that I am really good at is budgeting and is managing money, but when I first initially became a single mom with a single income household, it was a little bit of a challenge. Now, this is something that I am still learning. So I decided to open up a high yield savings account. And what I like about that is the fact that I'm able to add buckets. So I have a bucket for vacation. I have a bucket for camp. So throughout the year, I'm saving for things that I know is going to come up on an annual basis. Like, we know that we're going to go on vacation every year. We know that she's going to be going to camp. I believe I even have like a bucket for, you know, anything were to go wrong with my car. Like, that is the money that I am setting aside. So if in case anything happens, a rainy day, I have money set aside, and I'm not relying solely on my credit card. And then more recently, I just started to get into like stocks and like EFTs and things like that. So I started investing in stocks on my own, but I know it's something that I've been saying for a while, but I need to find the time to actually speak with someone to see how I can open up stocks, but in her name. So basically, I will take some of her money and invest that into the stock market for her, and just let that sit for I don't know how long and see how that goes. But I want it to be in her name and not mine. I just need to figure that part out, which I haven't done. But that's kind of how I manage. Thankfully, I am blessed with a really good job. So from a financial standpoint, I'm able to like manage all of that kind of stuff. But yeah, it's literally just looking at your finances. I have talked about this in a previous video, so I will make sure to have that linked in the cards as well as down below for you guys, on how I just like manage finances and all of that kind of stuff. But if you're looking to start out, especially when you are a single income household, you basically just need to take the time to see how much money you're bringing in, see where all your money is actually going, because a lot of the times we think we know where our money is going, and I completely forgot about doing makeup, but we think we know where our money is going, but we do not. We're probably spending more at the grocery store, we're probably spending more going out to eat, all of those type of things, but you're not going to know until you actually sit down and take a look at your finances. It's scary that if anything were to happen to me or to my job or anything like that, I don't have somebody else to rely back on. So I have built an emergency fund. I want to say, I don't know, at least I have probably anywhere between 3 to 5 months worth of an emergency fund. So in case something were to happen, we would be good. But yeah, that's kind of what I do. What's your biggest financial challenge and how are you tackling it? I wouldn't say that I specifically have a financial challenge, but it's something that I have really started thinking about. And I talked to my mom about it, and you know, I haven't really done anything else, so I really do kind of also need to get on that. When do you find the time? I have no idea. But anyways, Riley's 8, which means that in about 10 years, she will be venturing off to college. My absolute goal for her would be to be able to pay for her college. Now, does that mean I just have a stack of money just saved up and she goes to college and doesn't have to worry about it? That would be wonderful. That would be great, especially now that I'm investing in stocks. That would be great. However, if that does not happen, I would like to foot the bill for it, meaning all she has to do is go to school, do well in school, and can come out of college not having to worry about a student loan at all. So whether that's I'm opening the student loan in my name, but then I was also thinking, talk to my mom. And again, these are things I don't know. So I'm just being honest and sharing. Or do I open it in her name so that she gets the, to build her credit, but I pay the bill while she's in school so that like at the end, like I just continue to pay for it. Because I have friends who went to college and their parents paid for their college experience, and it was almost as if they were ahead of the rest of us who were paying student loans, right? Because naturally when you get your job, like your first job, you're not making that much money. But to now have to, whether you're paying for a car and then you're paying for student loans, like all that stuff adds up. So I would like to take the burden off of her having to deal with any of that stuff and to be able to financially take care of all that stuff. So I wouldn't say it's a challenge, but it's just stuff that I'm thinking about, even though, yes, she is only 8 years old, but these are the things that kind of like just run through my mind. I just want to set her up for success as best as I can. So I guess if you want to call it a challenge, but that would be the only like financial thing that I have just really been thinking about, getting stocks in her name, and then also figuring out how to pay for her to go to college. So that is one less thing that she does not have to worry about when she graduates. All right, so it is storming out now. I know we're on an emergency flood warning watch, and apparently a tornado watch. I have no idea. So, but anyways, I just needed to turn because of the lighting. How do you find time for yourself? One, waking up early before Riley does, and that's just quiet time that I have for myself. I try not to stay up too late after she has gone to sleep, just because I want to also get an ample amount of sleep. But because we do co-parent, I get every other weekend, and every other weekend it is going to change. It basically is dependent on how I am personally feeling. If I am really exhausted after 2 weeks, then I will take like a Sunday or something like that and just kind of be a couch potato, watch my shows, just relax, take a nap in the middle of the day. It's really, really nice. But then I also will go out with friends and just be out and enjoy the summertime and enjoy my friendships and like all of that kind of stuff. And I will run errands and do all of that kind of stuff. But I would say that the biggest thing that I have learned is setting boundaries, which also helps, because having a lack of boundary is not going to help you when you are trying to take the time for yourself. And those boundaries are going to change, and also understand that those people are going to try and test those boundaries, especially people who have been stepping over those boundaries for a really long time. But you have to stand firm in all of that, and just know that you're doing this for yourself. At the end of the day, you got to put yourself first. How do you recharge when you feel overwhelmed? Again, this is the same situation. I will just do things that I enjoy. So I have like a mental list of things that just will like boost my spirits, and a lot of the stuff is stuff that does not even cost a thing. So, you know, whether that's just like listening to music and just enjoying myself, or laying on the couch and watching a show. I've really been getting into doing my nails at home and doing things for myself, giving myself like, you know, a face mask, a skincare, you know, all of that kind of stuff, just pouring into me in whatever that looks like. Skincare, you know, all of the good things. And maybe that also looks like going to dinner or happy hour with some girlfriends though too, and just like kiki and laugh. That works too. FaceTiming my sister, like it, just do things, not saying to distract you, but just to lift your spirits. And I don't feel as if, like, a lot of times people think that like it's something that's going to cost a lot of money, and it really doesn't. Like, it doesn't have to, right? It could just be simple things that you enjoy doing. So if you are like me and you like to craft, like, go craft, like, or go color, or do something that is just going to quiet the mind, taking the stress away and just focusing on myself rather than all the distractions that I feel as if being overwhelmed brings. Do you date as a single mom, and how do you navigate that? I am pretty sure that is something you guys want to know. So since going through my separation and my divorce, have I dated? No. Against what other people wanted for me, but I knew what was going to work for me. I knew that I had a lot of healing that I needed to do, and I had insecurities that I needed to work on and work through. So I took a long time to do that, and I did not try and rush myself, because at the end of the day, like I said, I've known this person for 20 years, and it was a huge part in my life. But I knew that I didn't want to take some of the trauma and things like that I've gone through and bring it into a new relationship. It's like, I would rather be single than to be in the wrong relationship with the wrong person, because I've been there, done that. I'm not looking to do that. You know what I'm saying? And once you have really created and found peace, you're not going to, like, nothing is going to disrupt that. Like, so any relationship that I have, whether that's friendship or, you know, male relationship, is going to have to be added on top. Like, I live a good life. Things are great for me over here. So that's just going to have to be something that's added on top. But lately, more recently, I don't know if it's just like me in my like healing girl era. I have no idea. But I have just been embracing life and having a good time. So I have been outside, y'all. Like, I've been outside. I'm just getting out there, and I have de-centered men. I'm not going out on the hunt to find a man. I'm just waiting for a man to find me. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm waiting for my man to find me instead of me finding a man. Do you get what I'm saying? And that's just how I am. Like, so I'm still living, I'm still traveling, I'm still enjoying myself. But everything is going to work out the way it's supposed to work out. And I'm not trying to like pressure or rush anything. I'm just trying to be outside, enjoy time, meeting new people, and seeing where things go. Last two questions. What advice would you give to someone who just became a single working mom? Okay, so the advice that I would say or give, forgive yourself, right? Forgive yourself for whatever specifically that was. Maybe forgive yourself for choosing the wrong person. Maybe forgive yourself for overlooking certain things that you kind of had a little bit of a red flag type of thing, but you just overlooked it. Forgive yourself for those things, right? You have to give yourself grace, and you have to forgive yourself, because it's not always the other person, right? Like, we all need to take accountability for our part in things, right? So I would, number one, say forgive yourself. And I would also say to take your time to heal, to mourn the relationship, to find you again. And that can take some time to find who you are outside of all of the roles that we play, right? I think finding yourself is going to be the most important thing, and to love yourself through that process, flaws and all. I would say do that. work on building yourself a community. And that doesn't necessarily mean like true family. That could just be close friends. Like, build yourself a community, people that you can rely on, people that you can just vent to, people that you can kind of just go through the waves and the emotions, because sometimes you're up and sometimes you are down. And there are certain things and moments that you're going to have, right? Because healing is not just linear, right? It doesn't just go up, like it's up and down, right? Go speak to somebody, I would say, especially depending on how the breakup was, how long you guys were together, all of the things. And also, not necessarily, you want to speak to somebody not only for yourself, but also navigating this new world of being a single parent and how you parent your kids. There needs to be some like, let's figure this out, right? And don't be scared to ask yourself the hard questions. Like, I remember in the beginning when I was like down in the trenches, like there were so many nights that I cried that nobody else saw, right? When I'm just sitting here by myself alone and just like thinking to myself and asking myself the hard questions, and not like giving myself those like fluffy little answers that you would just appease other people. Like, truly asking yourself the hard questions, like, why did I stay? Or what made me do that? Or why did I accept that? Like, is it something in me that I felt as if I wasn't good enough for? Or was it like, you have to ask yourself those questions so that when you do get into your next relationship, you don't make the same mistakes, because you've healed and you know your worth, and you're not going to be accepting of certain things that you might have done before. But you're only going to be able to do that if you ask yourself the hard questions and actually put in the work. You know, you have to focus on yourself as much as, yes, your children need you, but you have to focus on yourself, because if mommy's good, those kids are going to be good no matter what. All right, so makeup is done. I wish my hair was done, but it is what it is. Okay, last question. How has being a single mom changed you? Okay, I would say it has overall given me the confidence that I did not have before. And that's just because I feel like I put so many other people before myself, and I put myself last. And now that it is just me and her, there are no excuses, right? I stopped making excuses. I did the work. I focused on myself even when I didn't want to. And it just made me a better mom and person, and it has given me the like patience that I needed to be a better mom. And in ways I feel as if it's made me and Riley closer. But ultimately I found me again. I'm not even going to lie. And that is one of the most important things, because we're on this earth and we're living and dying our true selves. So if we don't get to the point where we're loving ourselves and enjoying being in our own company and fixing the things that we can fix, what's the point? Like, I saw like a TikTok where it's kind of like, life is hard, you have to choose your hard, right? You don't put in the work and you choose to kind of like overlook that and all this other stuff, and then you're feeling stuck. That's hard. It is hard. But you putting in the work and doing the things that you need to do, that's hard too. They're both hard, but like, which one is going to have you thriving in life? And yeah, I feel happier. I feel more content. I have my peace. And these are things that, some of these things like were even way before I even got married, right? Things that and insecurities that I had that I didn't even realize I had, things that I've learned about myself that I didn't even realize like I was like doing subconsciously. So yeah, those things would be what are the things that have changed me. I don't think I would be this person if that didn't happen. And I'm going to be completely honest. Maybe it would have, but I feel as if I would have continued to keep putting others before myself and thinking that that's going to change things, rather than taking a step back and really just focusing on myself and realizing I need to change within myself. And then, you know, hopefully the surroundings will then naturally change because you're a different type of person. But yeah, I would definitely say those are things that I have like learned, and that have changed me as being a single mom. All things for the best, even though it was an ugly journey. It was definitely an ugly journey, but focusing on myself was one of the best things that I could have ever done. And removing the distractions and creating the peace in something that I've never had. Yeah. But I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. You found it to be helpful. If you guys have any additional questions, drop them down in the comment section below. Everything, all the makeup that I use, I will also have that linked below in the description bar in case you guys are interested. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And I'll catch you guys right back here in my next video. Bye.